Welcome back, everyone. So in this video we're answering a viewer's question, and the question was, how do I find the communicator that's not just the nanas and grandpas? We thought I'd done a video on this, but after searching can't find it anywhere. So doing a rerun of this video on how to find a communicator that ain't just your nan or your granddad. So obviously this is for the people that are used to spirit communication. They move their mind to the spirit world and they find a communicator. So on the back of that, it's when we move our mind there to the spirit world, then the variables then start kicking in. And what will happen is that you'll become very confident in being able to get the communicator, that of a nan or a granddad or a mum or a dad, dependent on the age of the client sitting in front of you. So if you have a 30-something-year-old sitting in front of you, the likelihood is that they have a grandparent there. Now I know that that's not in every case, but for the purpose of the video, it's certainly above 90% where they will have a nan or a granddad in the spirit world. And just because of your safety, your own mind, you'll move your mind there and you'll find a nan or a granddad, and you're comfortable in doing that because of the age of the person sitting in front of you, and the likelihood is that they'll have a grandparent there, and then you find the grandparent, then you give off the grandparent. This is where it becomes a little bit samey all the time. It's something that happens all the time. Now, I must stress, this is down to the medium. The medium is instantly affected by that ingredient that goes into the mix, and that ingredient would be the client. We automatically start to judge, unfortunately. It's a human thing. But the moment someone sits down in front of us, we make judgments, rightfully or wrongfully. That's not about this video. And through those judgments, it may be their age or the way they look or whatever, you fill in that blank. Our mind will then move to the spirit world, and we start to analyze and go through what's going on as our mind makes that shift. I always liken it to when I go and have a reading or a sitting, which, you know, I've never wanted one, I've never needed one, but I do understand why people have them. And if I was to go in and sit in front of someone, I'm a male, 40-year-old, and immediately they'll start looking for said person. If you have no knowledge of my background or what I'm about, the way that I dress for that appointment will play a big role in what's about to happen. Now, the likelihood is I won't turn up with my beanie hat or wear like loose t-shirts, casual t-shirts and tracksuit bottoms. I'll probably wear a polo shirt, a nice over jacket, a pair of jeans and maybe a pair of boots or something like that. And I attend said reading smart. However, if I turned up in my usual casual self, the reading may be very different. And so the medium will already start to cast their judgments on my appearance, on my age, and therefore they'll move their mind to the spirit world, and they will probably find one of my nans or one of my grandfathers. That's typical of how a reading will go. What rarely happens is that a medium moves their mind to the spirit world and go, do you know what, I'm aware of a young lady around 18 and so on and so forth, and give me the communication that way. That rarely happens. I mean, super rare that happens. And people are asking me currently on my Facebook page and on inbox and on other videos, why does this happen? And it's simply down to that of the medium, the way that their mind works. The mechanic is very different. The mechanic, if you understand the mechanic and you understand how you work as a medium, we can change all of that very, very quickly. It requires just a number of things, and if you implement them number of things, it will give a freedom to your mediumship. However, those number of things can be very challenging for a said individual, and to implement it can be tough. It can be challenging for you as a person. And what we very quickly have to understand is the fatherhood of God or the brotherhood of man, that oneness that comes into it all. We are all connected. And because we are all connected in some kind of way, and I'll just keep that basic for the purpose of the video, we are all connected in some kind of way. The moment the client enters the room and sits in front of me, every single person that they have had contact with or have loved or spent time with, that list is endless, potentially sits in the room with you. And so as you move your mind to the spirit world, the potential there is to be aware or become aware of every single person that is available for a reading for your client. And the safety aspects of it, and I don't mean in a harmful way, I mean in your ego or you getting it right or so on and so forth, is that you'll become aware of a grandma or a grandfather just in this space here, and you latch onto it and you go with it. Whereas the potential could be there is an 18-year-old girl there is a young boy, there is a young man, there is a young woman, a young girl. Whatever it is, the potentials are there if that potential is possible with said client. So it was a very simple mechanic for me because I understood that they are connected completely, as a oneness. My mind in the early stages would move there and I would find Nan and Grandad, but an immediate question for myself would be, is there anybody else there? And then my awareness will start to become aware of the others. Now you have to also bear in mind that some clients do want to hear from their grandparents. It is their nan that they want to speak to, or it is their grandfather they want to speak to. And so you don't want to fall into the trap of finding nan or finding granddad and then pushing them to one side and finding someone else who the client didn't want. So we need to also be careful there. So maybe the best question is, who does the client want? And then go with that communicator. If an 18-year-old girl turns up, then you say the 18-year-old girl. If a 73-year-old nana turns up, then you say that, because we can't rule them out. Now the problem is with the medium. The medium don't trust that it's a complete oneness. They don't trust that if they ask the question like, who does the client want, and that person stand forward, they don't trust themselves or their mediumship enough to go with that. Whereas my mind now is that, the accuracy level's very high and I usually get it right. So I'm going to start trusting this. And then once I made that implement in my mediumship, then my mediumship began to change. I started to be able to dial it in very quickly. And very rarely would I get a nan or a grandfather turn up because that wasn't what the client wanted. They wanted their 17-year-old boy or, their 32-year-old brother or, the variables again are massive. So it's all about how your mind is set up and how you go in to grab that. As I said to you before, it's very, very rare that I go for a sit-in, and if and when I receive them in my classroom, without any knowledge of my backstory or what's going on, it's very rare that my 18-year-old sister turns up. The likelihood is I get my late 70s nan or my late 80s nan turn up, or on occasion my grandfather. But very rarely do my young friends or my young sister turn up for a communication. And this is simply down to that of the medium. It's not that they don't want to attend or they need time or they need any of that stuff going on. It's the fact that the medium's mind hasn't found it. And so when you connect to your clients' loved ones, every single one of them are in the room, every single one. And now we have to establish who is going to be the spokesperson for that. Now the argument will be, well, you shouldn't get in the way and you shouldn't decide who it is. And actually that's the way to move it forward. Who wants to speak to the client today, and then go with it. However, that's not happening out there. That is definitely not happening. So the hate messages or the hate inboxes that will end up in my inbox, forget it, leave it, because you're not doing as they're asking you to do. And so what can be established, and this is down to personal preference, on each individual medium, is that you can just ask, is there someone that you were waiting for in particular today to come and speak to you? And the client may offer you that. That way you can do the communications order, which is there. There's a video there for that. And if they say yes, then you know that your mind is there and, right, okay, spirit world, who is it that she wants to speak to? And then that starts to formulate within your mind. Then the medium has to trust that. The medium has to go with that. They have to present that very well for that client to acknowledge and accept the communication that's coming forward. So you have to understand that every single one of them are there, and you have to understand that if that then steps forward, you actually speak that. What happens is that you've become safe. I'll go with the nan and granddad because I'm good at them ones. I know a couple of students in my class and on the Zoom classes and workshops where they're very good at emotions and they're very good at feelings. They're very good at one particular area. But sometimes the client don't want the things that you're good at. They need a whole different thing. And so that's where a medium has to constantly exercise the mind and the flexibility that the spirit world can bring forward. And the medium in question would then have to trust that. So I think the biggest thing here is faith and trust, which everyone bangs on about, but very little show. So it's move the mind there, ask them who needs to step forward and go with it. You know, there are many people in the spirit world that I get to speak to through students. But more likely than not, I enjoy communication from my 18-year-old sister. However, extremely, extremely rare. So that's it. I think the question's answered. You've just got to go through the process. You've got to trust what you're getting. And that way your mediumship will change. Never at any point do I go, what if I get it wrong? What if they don't know? What if the spirit world don't know who needs to step forward? I trust what's going on, and at a very high percentage, I get it right. The ones where I've got it wrong are where I've had an ingredient in there, where I've pushed one away, or I've took a risk and found a younger one, but actually they wanted their 78-year-old nana. But that's where I diluted it, or I got involved in the communication. So you have to hand over, and you have to go with whatever it is that you're seeing, feeling, hearing, tasting, smelling, and present it in the best way possible. And this will improve getting beyond just the nanas and granddads, but it will also improve your mediumship in every other aspect. So I'm going to round this one up today. I hope that helps the viewer that asked the question. Like if you liked it. Obviously get in the comments, because you now know that this helps the channel to grow. Helps the analytics and all that kind of stuff. Subscribe if you aren't already. And I'll see you all in the next video.